कथामृता तप्त जीवना कविभिरीरिता कल्मषापहा तव कथामृता तप्त जीवना कविभिरीरिता कल्मषापहा। Hare Krishna.
तव कथामृता तप्त जीवना कविभिरीरिता कल्मषापहा। श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदातता भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। कथामृता तप्त जीवना कविभिरीरिता कल्मषापहा। श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदातता भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना। Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Hari Bo Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So during Yudhishthir Maharaj's Rajaswi Yajna, something very extraordinary happened. During the Rajaswi Yajna, one custom is the Argha Patra is offered to the most respectable person in the assembly. So it was being considered that who should it be offered to. So Sahadev proposed that it should be offered to Krishna. Actually, from the mundane perspective, there are so many other personalities who are very respectable. Like, as I said, from the mundane perspective, people consider various mundane aspects, age and so forth. So naturally, there are various considerations. But when Sahadev proposed that Krishna should be offered, the Argha Patra, then everyone accepted it. Everyone was very excited. Yes, Krishna is the most suitable candidate for that. Even those who are being considered that they could be the person to receive that, but even they were in agreement with Krishna being the person to receive that. And like Bhishma and Vasdev, there were so many such respectable people. And they all accepted that yes, Krishna is the most deserving candidate for that. But one person became furious. Others, some of them also were little reluctant to accept Krishna, like Duryodhana and others. They were actually very upset that recently Krishna caused Jarasandha's death. And according to them, it was done in a treacherous way. Instead of getting into a battle with him, they got into a single fight, wrestling, and in that Jarasandha had been defeated by Bhima. So they were already burning, but they did not voice their disapproval. But there was one personality who was extremely envious of Krishna. That was actually his own cousin, Shishupal. Now there is a history also. Shishupal, as you all remember, Shishupal had once been disappointed his bride has been stolen away. So, like, poor guy was all, it must have been so embarrassing, can you imagine? He's all ready to get married, and then his bride is lost. Like, so there was lots of built-up anger, but Shishupal, there is a history behind Shishupal. Shishupal was born with 4 arms and 3 eyes. So when his father saw that, he considered that it's very inauspicious. So he decided to discard that child, throw it. Because he could see that this child would become a demon. So at that time, one sage came and assured him that, no, don't do that. He'll become a very powerful king at one time. But, and his extra 2 arms and 3rd eye also will disappear. When he is placed on the lap of somebody, his 3rd eye and 2 arms will disappear. But that person would kill him in course of time. He will die in the hands of that person. So since then, his father decided not to discard him, and he was placing the child on the lap of various kings and princes, hoping that his 2 extra arms will disappear and the 3rd eye will disappear. But it didn't happen. So one day, Krishna came to his aunt's house with his mother. And playfully, that boy was just kicked on Krishna's lap. And immediately his 2 extra arms and the 3rd eye disappeared. So in one hand, his parents were very happy that the 2 extra arms and eye disappeared. He became normal again, or rather he became normal. But they also were very worried that this child will be killed by Krishna. And so his mother requested Krishna, Krishna, please, don't take any offense. So she could understand that this child will be so offensive to Krishna that Krishna will eventually have to kill him. So she requested Krishna, please, don't take any offense. So Krishna said, okay, I will tolerate 100 offenses in a day. But if he does exceed that, yes, then I'll kill him. So in the assembly of Rajasuya Yajna, when that Arghapatra was being offered to Krishna, Shishupal just couldn't tolerate that. Like he was always blaspheming Krishna. Like as if it was his main business to blaspheme Krishna. And so he stood up and he said, why him? This assembly has so many respectable persons. Why him? And what's so great? What's the greatness that you see in him? He's not even a Kshatriya. What to speak of being exalted, he's not even a Kshatriya. And even if you say that he was a Kshatriya, he was brought up like a farmer. He didn't have the proper upbringing. And see from his childhood what he has done. stole the garments of young women. He has been always flirting around other women. He didn't even consider somebody else's wife. So he was having an affair with them. And look, he was a coward. He ran away from the battlefield. Which Kshatriya will ever tolerate that kind of disgrace? And in this way, he was Pandavas, especially Bhim and Sahadev, are furious. Bhim just about to pick up his mace and smash his head. Krishna said, cool down. And so the whole assembly was burning with anger. But Krishna pacified them. It's all right. And what happened? Krishna was actually counting. And just as it reached beyond 100, Krishna called his Sudarshan Chakra. And the Sudarshan Chakra just went and severed his head from his body. An amazing thing happened at that time. Shishupal's soul came out of his body. Everybody could see. His soul just came out and then it entered into Krishna's body. So this is how everybody could see that although he was killed by Krishna, he achieved liberation by merging into Krishna's body. So this is the benefit that even the demons derive when they're killed by Krishna. So it seems that to be killed by Krishna, one has to be a very special soul also. But at the same time, one point actually comes. If the demons who are offensive to Krishna achieve this destination, then what to speak of those who surrender to Krishna and serve him with love and devotion? So this is the point. Time and time again we are actually seeing the benefit of being a devotee of Krishna. Through this animosity of the demons we see the benefit of becoming a devotee of Krishna. Like today, one question came up, like why Krishna he's supposed to be tolerant and humble, like why? Because the washerman didn't give him the clothes, he chopped off his head. The idea is Krishna is not always chopping off the heads of somebody who is not giving him the dresses. But in that particular occasion, it's Krishna's pastimes. In this particular occasion, when Krishna himself asked and he refused, Krishna actually showed what is the result. And right after that, what happened? When the weaver offered him just some decorative materials to dress him, then Krishna rewarded him with a benediction. After this life, he'll go back to Godhead. And in this life, he'll have the opulence that will be enviable even for a king. So you see, the side by side, these two incidents. Now, isn't it a proposal being made to you? Which one are you going to choose? Washerman or the weaver? So that's the purpose of Krishna's pastimes. Krishna simply teaches us through these pastimes how we should act. And when we act the right way, we get rewarded. When we act in the wrong way, we get punished. Not that the punishment will be like that. Our heads will get chopped off. No, Krishna is very tolerant. Krishna is not interfering. Krishna left it up to the demigods to decide what will be the result, what will be the reaction of our actions. But when he comes to perform his pastimes, then it's a different thing. It's like a play. The actions are very vividly presented in front of us. And we see, like Shishupal is so offensive. He said all kinds of things about Krishna. Things like his father is fair complexion, his mother is fair complexion. How come he's dark? Like you're laughing, but what is actually insinuating? He's doubting his birth. Who is his father? That means that they're doubting that his mother was unchaste. Like this is how he went to the extent of abusing Krishna. But still Krishna tolerated because he committed to his mother. He will tolerate 100 offenses in one go. But as soon as it came to 101, now Shishupal had a very close friend called Shalva. They are in the same group. Now, incidentally, who is Shishupal? You remember Jai and Vijay? Who was Jai and Vijay in Satyuga? Very good. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. Who is Jai Vijay in Treta Yuga? Ravan and Kumbhakarna. And who is Jai and Vijay in Dwapar Yuga? Very good. So you can see who Shishupal is. A very special demon. Shishupal and Dantavakra. So Shishupal, actually the demons have their, what do you call, their association. Like you have the Chamber of Commerce. So there is the association of demons. They are special members of the demon society, demoniac society. They are very inclined to each other. So, and they got very upset that look what he has done. Jarasandha, he killed in this deceitful way. And look, Shishupal, when he was totally unaware, the poor guy was simply speaking. Krishna didn't even give him a chance to take up a weapon and fight or defend himself. He just chopped his head off. It is totally unacceptable. But this Krishna, something is wrong with him. Nobody can defeat him. They tried in so many ways and they took the history. Kamsa sent so many demons. Poor Kamsa's, his whole support reserve became exhausted. And then poor guy collected all the friends. Still he couldn't do anything. As a child he killed all these demons. So this guy has some mystic power. So that's how they looked at Krishna. So Shishupal had a very close friend called Shalva. And Shalva also considered that I have to become very powerful. To destroy, to attack his city is very difficult. Dwarka is surrounded by ocean. As if the ocean is a moat. Generally, forts would have a high wall, and beyond the wall they will have moats, water body, to give the protection. Now he has a special moat. The ocean is the moat. Just like Ravan had his thing, Lanka. Nobody could approach Lanka. So Shrala considered that I will need some special means to attack Dwarka. So he performed severe austerity. To please who? I'm sure you can well imagine. Lord Shiva. So he just ate dust for 1 year. Nothing, he didn't eat anything. He was eating only dust for 1 year. And then finally Lord Shiva became pleased with him and came, Shrala, what do you want? Why are you performing such austerity? So Shrala said that I want a vehicle that would move with the speed of the mind. And that won't be destroyed by any man. And he, like Hiranyakashipu, he mentioned all different creatures. Man, demigods, demons, Rakshasas, Daitas, Danavas, Gandharvas, Kinnaras, whatever name he had in his dictionary, he named them all. And Lord Shiva said, fine. And Shalva also had mystic power, magical power. And nowadays people want to see miracle. Like, actually we see that many of these demons had this mystic power. Like recently there was one person who had magical power. Like he would swing his hand like in the space and a watch would appear. And things like that. So, anyway, let's just, we are all in a frank discussion. That person is Sai Baba. Quite some years ago, I think it was sometime in the late 80s, I saw one report. In India there used to be still I think there's a newspaper called, a magazine called Illustrated Weekly. So is it still there? Anyway. So in Illustrated Weekly there was an article. PC Sarkar meeting Sai Baba. You know who is PC Sarkar? He is a very famous magician. The original PC Sarkar's son's name is also PC Sarkar. So, he's a famous magician actually. I mean, he did some amazing things when he came to London. I don't know, the original PC Sarkar, the father. Do you know that? So PC Sarkar came to he was supposed to give a performance, and he came to the hall late, about 1 hour later. I don't know exactly whether it's 1 hour or 45 minutes or. So there was an uproar. Why did you come so late? So he looked at his watch. He said, why? Say he was supposed to come at 5 o'clock. He said, exactly, it's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock? Now it's 45 past 5. He said, is it? But my watch is saying 5. And then everybody looked at his watch and it was saying 5 o'clock. Even mass hypnotism. So some of these magicians have this amazing power. So, anyway, to go back to this Sai Baba stuff. By the way, is there any Sai Baba worshipper? Maybe I should be a little cautious. Anyway, it's not my story. It's illustrated weekly. I read it there. So, P.C. Sarkar, son, junior P.C. Sarkar, went to see Sai Baba in Puttaputti. And so he mentioned that there to meet him, you have to say who you are, where you're coming from. So he wrote P.C. Sarkar, magician. So he refused to meet him. So the next day he again went and he gave his nickname, didn't mention anything. So this time he got his interview, darshan. And when he went, Sai Baba swung his hand like this and gave him a sandesh. Sandesh. So he swung his hand he gave him a rascal. Sai Baba was furious. And he told him that you're just a magician. The difference between you and me is that I'm just a magician and I'm claiming that I'm a magician, but you are pretending to be God-man. And they got into a big argument, and then he actually exposed like how they do things like that, how they materialize various things. Anyway, so the point is, don't get impressed with this simple, magical display, which is called miracle. I have seen sadhus, so-called, people, like he put my hand like that, and he said, "Now open your hand." And I felt something in my hand. And then I saw it's a Rudraksh. And like that, like this kind of magical fits are quite common in India. So this guy, Sai Baba, I'm sorry, Shalu actually asked Lord Shiva for this boon that he would get a vehicle that would move with the speed of his mind. That means whatever he would wish, the vehicle would go there. And it would take the shape according to his desire. It would do whatever he would desire. And now Lord Shiva granted, okay. And Lord Shiva actually told Vishwakarma to create that. Maidanav to create that. So Maidanav actually created that vehicle. That is called Shobha, ship. So with that he went and attacked Dwarka. At that time Krishna was not there. Krishna was in Rajasuya Yajna and he stayed longer there. Even after the Rajasuya Yajna was over, Krishna stayed on. So it actually happened in the meantime. So this spaceship came and started to throw weapons from all directions and moving around. Everyone was completely perturbed. The city was crying. What should we do now? How to prevent from this attack? So then all the generals of Jadu dynasty came out. Pradyumna, headed by Pradyumna. And Pradyumna shoot arrows that apparently destroyed it and injured Shalva. But next moment, the ship again came to. Although it was destroyed, it came back. And this time it came back, sometimes appearing to be many such ships, and appearing to be just one ship, and it's completely bewildering. And they were fighting, they were struggling, still they could cope with that. And then Krishna one day had some feeling. He saw some inauspicious signs. And he decided to come back to Dwarka. And when he came to Dwarka, he found that Dwarka residents were in such distress. So Krishna then, he came into the field. And he was although he was attacking, and Bashobha spaceship was disappearing, sometimes appearing, even to Krishna. Well, the point is Krishna's pastimes. Krishna is letting these things happen. And then at one time, Shalva was completely wounded and he disappeared for some time. But this time when he came, he announced through somebody that Krishna, your Salva has captured your father and he has taken him into his custody, arrested him and taken him away. So Krishna was worried. How is it true? How could it happen? Because Balaram is guarding him, guarding the family members. But the man said, yes, I tell you that's what happened. And at that time Shalva also appeared right there with Vasudev there. And he said, okay, so now I got your father. So I'll kill him right in front of your eyes. And Krishna was completely overwhelmed with emotion. And Shalva cut the head of Vasudev and laughing hilariously with the head in his hand, he walked into the ship. But right at that time, everything disappeared. That man disappeared, Shalva disappeared, the sober spaceship disappeared. So Krishna came back to his senses, realizing this is the magical fit. So then Krishna, this time he used his chakra. And this chakra dismantled the spaceship. And the spaceship fell into the ocean. And when Shalva was about trying to come out of it to safety, then Chakra went and severed his head. So this is how this demon, Shalva, was killed by Krishna. So, in this way, from his childhood, Krishna had been killing so many demons, one after another. And that is why Krishna comes to this world. Paritrana sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. Dushkritam, miscreants, the demons. Krishna actually comes to annihilate these demons. So, what lesson did we learn?
Better to be a devotee than a demon.
Very good. Not better to be, must be a devotee and never a demon. Right? And I'm so happy to see that all of you have taken to Krishna consciousness so nicely. And in this way, let Krishna consciousness spread for the benefit of the world. That's why we all are here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the order, Jade dakho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Whoever you see, speak to him about Krishna. For his benefit and for your benefit. Because when you speak about Krishna, then we also benefit. Our Krishna consciousness increases. That's why Shravanam and Kirtanam both are most important. Speaking about Krishna, you remember Krishna. And hearing about Krishna, you remember Krishna. So that's why every day we are singing Tava Kathamritam. The nectarian words about Krishna is all auspicious. Kalma Shapaham, the impurities of the heart become cleansed. And always remember that all these impurities in the heart are coming from one source. What is that source from which all the impurities in the heart come?
Kama.
Huh?
Kama.
Well, that is a part of impurity. All the impurities actually come from false ego. They're all coming from false ego. False ego means identification with the body. And as you mentioned, kama, lust. Lust, what is lust actually? Lust actually is gratifying the senses. Sense pleasure. And of all the sense pleasure, the most intense is sex desire. Now this is the thing, like sometimes people think that Krishna's dealings with the gopis, Krishna's dealing with the gopis is sexual act. But in that respect, Prabhupada made a very nice point. Even to enter into the spiritual world, even to enter into Brahma Jyoti, which is the outer region of the spiritual world, one has to become free from sex desire. Because as long as one has sex desire, one won't be able to get out of the material nature. So if in order to enter into spiritual world, we have to become free from sex desire, how can there be sex life in the spiritual world? That is how we have to look at it. So, and yes, as you said, that's the most, what should I say, that's the worst of all impurities, lust. And the most difficult one is envy. Lust, greed, anger, illusion, pride, envy. That's why at the beginning of Bhagavatam, what is the instruction? Nirmatsaranam. Envy in Sanskrit is matsar. Matsarja. Or one who is envious is matsar. Now nirmatsar means completely free from envy. So in order to appreciate Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to become free from envy. Why? Because that's the last one. When one has become free from envy, that means he has become free from all other impurities. Whereas one can conquer lust. In that respect, one very nice analogy is given. Somebody may conquer lust but cannot conquer anger. Example, Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva conquered lust, but he became angry with Gandharva, Cupid. And of course, we are not in a position to judge Lord Shiva, but this is just an example. So anyway, the point is, we have to be free from false ego. That's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving a simple instruction. Trinadopi sunichena. More humble than a blade of grass. When can one become more humble than a blade of grass? When one is completely free from false ego. It is due to a false ego that we are feeling pride. And just completely opposite to pride is humbleness. So, we have to become completely free from false ego. That's what we must try. How can we become free from false ego? By being submissive to Krishna. When we see false ego means, I am this body. Okay, this is also another way of looking at it. When we are in this material consciousness, then we are in our body consciousness. That means our body is now functioning with its spiritual quality. But we are in the world of matter. Now, the matter, this material world is inert. But we all are spiritual. Therefore, we are superior to matter. Therefore, when we are in the material world, we naturally develop this tendency of false ego. I am the greatest. Because the world that I am seeing is inferior to me. Even other people, other living entities, no matter how great they may be, how am I seeing them? Am I seeing them with the spiritual identity, or we are seeing them with the material body? So our perception of those persons are material. We are seeing the matter. Now I am the spirit, I am seeing the matter. So what is my perception then? I am greater. I am greater than anybody, anyone. Even the tendency to think that I am greater than the greatest one here. That's why people actually become even envious of Krishna. Because they try to see Krishna in the materialistic light. Therefore, it is, in this material nature, it is very difficult to get rid of false ego. But that's why there's a need to shift our consciousness from the matter, from the material to Krishna. Therefore, the only way out of it is Krishna consciousness. So, we have found the right way, and let's just keep on practicing it in a proper way. It will happen. It will happen. As we make advancement, as we keep on moving, we'll become aware of Krishna's greatness. We'll become aware of who Krishna actually is. And in the light of Krishna, in the light of Krishna's greatness, we'll automatically become humble. We'll see how great Krishna is. And we will, in the light of that, we'll see how insignificant we are. So that is the most wonderful process that we have received by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Therefore, we should always remain grateful to Srila Prabhupada, because this gratitude will make us humble also. You have done so much for us, Srila Prabhupada. So let us remain ever grateful to you. And then we'll see how Prabhupada's mercy will be flowing. When you practice the process properly, the result will be there. So we found the perfect way, perfect process, and we are on the right place. We are in ISKCON, perfect society. So let's take advantage of that. Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanande, Hare. Does anybody have any question? Yes.
How to get out of the envy then?
How to?
Get out of the envy.
Very good. How to get out of envy? The way to get out of envy is through love. See, envy means inability to accept someone's greatness. Inability to accept someone's greatness. Why he is being honored? Why he is being worshipped? I should be worshipped. Isn't it? That's the natural tendency, general tendency. But when you love somebody, do you become envious? Like the father loves the son, and when the son comes up with a brilliant result, does the father become envious? He becomes proud. Oh, my son, he broadcasts to everybody. My son has done so well in his exams. My son has done so well in his life. So this is how, through love, we actually conquer envy. The person that we are envious of, if we see him as an object of our love, then will we be envious of him? No. When your brother excels, do you become envious? Why not? And this love should not be just some sentimental thing. It should develop with Krishna in the center. Because that's the real love. Yes, Mukunda Hari.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I was just thinking, a couple of days ago we were discussing that the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So in that sense, everything that exists in the material world must also exist in the spiritual world. And then we have sex life in the material world. So am I right to think that it must exist in some form in the spiritual world?
Good question. See, first of all, you have to understand what is material and what is spiritual. That also I mentioned before. When you put Krishna in the center, that's spiritual. When you put ourselves in the center, that's material. Now, when that so-called envy is there with Krishna in the center, that's there in the spiritual world. With Krishna in the center. For Krishna. Let me serve Krishna. And anyway, that is there, but we have to understand that it is not like the envy, like here. That is transcendental envy. But our business is to get rid of it. And like there, it's not actually envy, it's love for Krishna. And the intensity of their love apparently appears to be like envy.
Thank you.
Sarvasachi.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you for such a powerful class. Guru Maharaj, I'd like to know, in relation to false ego, how is the role of the spiritual master helpful or crucial in helping a disciple deal with false ego?
What do you mean?
How can the disciple deal with false ego in light of being a disciple?
becoming humble. Right? I mean, the way to become free from false ego is by being humble. And do you mean how spiritual master helps?
Yes.
Well, he sees how to get rid of false ego. I mean, how, not that it will work with everybody the same way. Someone is a danda, and somebody needs a caress. But the thing is, the spiritual master reminds us, like as I am telling you, this reminder is the way to do it. But when it doesn't happen, then the spiritual master chastises. But then also the spiritual master sees who can accept the chastisement or not. That way I got a lot of mercy from Srila Prabhupada. But also there had been some god brother who was, close to Srila Prabhupada, important, very important member. And he once told me that he had never been chastised by Srila Prabhupada. And I told him he missed out.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for your guidance and your compassion on this trip so far. In your morning class yesterday, you mentioned that in a democracy there can't be any Kshatriyas. Just wondering,
Democracy can't be?
In a democracy there can't be any Kshatriyas. Could you just expand on why that's the case?
Because you see, a Kshatriya has the freedom to act independently. Kshatriya's rule is might is right. I mean, whether we like it or not, that is. And when they are not, that's why the Kshatriyas, when they're not controlled by the Brahmanas, they can become very dangerous. That's what actually happened in the recent past. Because they didn't accept the authority of the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas became independent. Then the Kshatriyas became very, very destructive. An example for that is, a horse is a very powerful animal. But when the horse is properly harnessed, then the horse can be so productive. But let the loose, and when the horse is on its own, what will it do? So, like similarly, elephant and other animals, like when they're properly, controlled, they can be very helpful. But on their own, they can be very destructive, especially the animals, those who are in the mode of passion. So, that's why democracy, monarchy became dangerous at one time. As I was saying, they started to act independently. And as a result of that, what happened? They became tyrannical, despots. And so democracy came. And in democracy, you see, there is no room for being independent. As I say, legally they are not allowed to function independently. That's why the only Kshatriyas probably in today's world are the mafias, right? Or the dacoits, like there were. In India there are some regions where ruled by dacoits. And in that society what would happen? Like, in a way, the Kshatriyas, you can call them like dacoits. But they're controlled by proper rules and regulations. Now just consider, will the world today allow a powerful person to come and take over? And that's why these kind of tendencies are taking the shape of anarchy taking the shape of terrorism. But the thing is, the Kshatriya world is, open to all. Not only one person has the right. Other people also, more powerful person will come and subdue him. And another one who is more powerful then come and subdue him. Right? But the nice thing about it is that the right ones, the appropriate ones, are being controlled by the Brahmanas. They're functioning with the laws of the scriptures, guided by the Brahmanas. Therefore, they're productive, they're controlled, they're genuine.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. After killing Sisubal, and he met with Krishna, and it witnessed by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So my question is, what is the quality of Yudhishthira Maharaj so that he can witness this much?
He can
witness this much after he merged with Sisubal, merging.
merging, yeah. He can, how could he witness?
Yeah.
Well, they could see that, like, again, by Krishna's mercy. Or you can say that they were pure enough to see the soul merging. Probably not that everyone saw that, but some saw that.
So Narada and also saw that.
Huh?
Narada.
Yeah, sure. Basdev also saw. That's why he could write it.
Then my second question is, sorry to ask this question, Maharaj. Is it Tamil tigers, can we consider Tamil tigers as Kshatriyas?
Who?
Tamil tigers.
Tamil tigers. As I told that in this age, there is no Kshatriyas. They are mafias. You see, like Tamil tigers, if you ask me, I'll say they are like mafias. Because the society is not allowing them. Like you can see, the Sri Lankan government doesn't allow them. Indian government doesn't allow them. And they're crushing them. Ultimately, the big brother, America, is crushing all such tendencies. But consider, like everyone has the right. And so what will happen? The bigger power will subdue the weaker power. And then ultimately what will happen? The most powerful will dominate. Right? But today what is happening is the power is not in the hand of one person. The power is in the hand of the multitude. They are electing. And a person becoming the leader or the head on the basis of the vote of the people. Not with his own strength, but with the vote of the people. And that is what democracy is. Now consider there is no democracy. What will happen? Well, the possible site will be Tamil tigers are fighting with Sri Lankan government. Sri Lankan government subdues the Tamil tiger. Indian government comes and subdues the Sri Lankan government. Then American power coming and controlling Indian power and subduing. And it's not being done by a conglomeration of a government. It's being done by individuals. So everybody has the right. That's why there is a Sanskrit expression, Bira Bhogga Boshundhara. Boshundhara means earth, earth planet. Earth planet is enjoyed, Bhogya means enjoyed by the heroes. The more powerful one is, the greater right he has to enjoy the earth. But they are functioning under the subjugation of the Brahmanas. They are being directed by the Brahmanas. So the ultimate power is not with the Kshatriyas. Ultimate power is with the Brahmanas.
Thank you.
Krishna Maharaj. I just wanted to extend on what discussions were happening around democracy and this world in general. So we do live in a democracy, and we know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God residing in all our hearts. And so isn't it also true that an individual could have a desire of Krishna to say that, oh, can I become that person who can rule the world and deliver all these people to the Supreme Lord as the purpose of the ISKCON movement?
Yeah, let him become that powerful. It will eventually happen. Democracy won't last forever. Democracy will go. And then let's see what Krishna wants. The point is, where is that person that powerful that will get rid of the democratic system in the world today? Like, isn't America interfering with everyone? And some are still defying American thing, but that also they're actually doing in a not autocratic way, but in a dictatorial way. Like, just consider North Korea. Their attitude is to hell with America. Why should we take their supremacy? Or the ISIS, or Al-Qaeda. They're kind of functioning like they're not democratic, they're not being elected. Like there you'll see the most powerful person is the head of it.
Yet they're regarded as like extremists and...
Extremists, yeah. But the thing is that no one is there to check them and give them the right direction. Like, democracy won't last forever. Now all these arrangements are there, that's why it's democracy is functioning. Anyway, as I mentioned, like, I don't know how it will happen. But it may happen that someday all the structure will go and there will be anarchy. Anarchy means, like, there's no law and order. Everyone will be free to act the way they want. And as a result of that, there will be conflict. But then probably somebody will come and set the things in order. But he has to be extremely powerful. And probably that person will be empowered by Krishna. Just as Parshuram did. He'll come, establish the law and order, and establish Krishna conscious government. Or not government, king.
But that has to be prescribed in the scriptures as well.
Right. I mean, the scriptures, like, unless we go through the scriptures, there's going to be anarchy. Scriptures are establishing the law. Dharma means laws given by Krishna. So if we don't abide by Krishna's law, how can we function properly? On the other hand, if we abide by Krishna's law, Krishna's blessings will be there. And everything will be established properly.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Rameshwar, take the mic.
By your definition of Kshatriya, would the Gaddafi, Saddam, all that would be Kshatriyas?
Well, in a way you can say they are Kshatriyas, but misdirected Kshatriyas. Right? As I said, like, the Kshatriyas can be also identified as dacoits. The dacoits are Kshatriyas in a way. they're depending upon their, physical or military power, or mafias. They're depending upon their power. And sometimes, they're fair. Like originally, at least, I don't know the mafias, but long time back I saw the movie Godfather. And Marlon Brando looked like a good guy. But you see how corruption entered into there. They wanted to start drug pushing, introduce smuggling of drugs and pushing drugs. And he was opposed to that. But he could last. These other people took over. And so that's why you see, a Kshatriya on his own cannot decide what to do and what not to do. He needs direction. As I was saying, a horse. Can the horse decide which way to go and what to do? But when somebody is controlling the horse, then he can do so much with the horse. With the horse's power. In a way, we can also, anyway, so this is the point, Like, mode of passion has to be controlled by the mode of goodness. Then only it will become productive. Otherwise, without the control of the goodness, mode of passion by itself will be destructive.
My only question was the Gaddafis and Saddams and all would be considered Kshatriyas as such.
At the same time, they can be considered as demons also. Because, Kshatriyas are protecting the society from injuries. They are protecting their citizens. They are, these are the qualities of a Kshatriya. Now, I don't know to what extent, Saddam Hussein or, Bin Laden, or they can be identified as Kshatriyas.
No, but, I'm not talking about like Saddam's and, Gaddafi, etc., kept a good control on the countries.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Like, to some extent, yes. And again, like America's interference, is kind of causing all the problems. Like, you go to, say for example, like the Kshatriya structure of, say, a monarchy. You have visited Dubai.
Yeah.
There is a king, and see what happened. That country was a desert. Today it looks like a paradise. Why? Because there's a good ruler. And the people are happy. His own people, he's really taking care of them. Practically all the Iraqis, at least Dubai citizens, they're very well off. And what arrangement he made? That anybody can come and start a business, but he has to have a Dubai partner. And the partnership is that he'll have to have at least 20%, right, of the business. So now you consider one person is shareholder of 20 different companies. So consider the amount of money that he'll do without doing anything, just sitting at home. Some Indians are working and they are deriving the benefit.
But the whole purpose of Dubai is a tax heaven.
Tax heaven, yeah.
And then most of the monies that come from the Russians and the Indians and...
yeah, Russian money is coming from Indians and the labor is coming from, Russians, but the labor is coming from the Indians.
No, also money...
No, business also, I'm taking, they are not just bringing money, they're setting up businesses there. And...
Oh no, lot of Indian black money has been laundered through Dubai, Singapore...
Anyway, you know better than me. You're right in the middle of that business.
Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Earlier, I think you touched on Dwarka, which arose from sea. I've been to Dwarka. I don't know what it must have been, as it was in time of Krishna. But I believe not much exists. Would there be any light? Can you throw some light on it?
Actually, the original Dwarka disappeared. Today's Dwarka is not really in the middle of the ocean. It's on the mainland. So we have to understand it's just a part of Dwarka. The original Dwarka, when Krishna left, Dwarka went under the ocean. And that Dwarka, now archaeologists are finding out that it's still there. They are having photographs and they are going underneath and seeing the remains of a city there. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaji, thank you very much for a beautiful lecture. Especially the last half, I really got into it. As a result of that, it got me thinking. We've talked a lot about the beauty of Krishna, his strength, and all his other attributes. But what does he sound like?
What's he?
What does he sound like? What is his voice like? What are the qualities?
Well, it's difficult for me to answer because I never heard it myself. But we can well imagine that his voice must be so wonderful. And what to speak of his flute. And that flute, it has been pointed out. You see, Vrindavan has been described Katha Ganam Natyam Gamanamapi. In Vrindavan, the words, the speech is music. And movement is dance. So then the question arises, if speech is music, then what Krishna's flute is like, the sound of Krishna's flute. If movement is dance, then what rasa dance is like? Their movement is dance. So what rasa dance is like? So that's beyond our imagination. So only when our ears will become purified, our hearing faculty will become spiritualized, when our identity will become spiritualized, then probably we'll be able to listen to that.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Considering the demons that you mentioned in these pastimes are Krishna's devotees performing a role for him, what kind of liberation do they receive when Krishna kills them?
They're generally sajujya mukti, merging into his bodily effulgence. Sometimes they get sarupa mukti also. They get the same form. Like it has been mentioned that Pondraka actually got sarupa mukti because she was always meditating on Krishna's form. So after that, being killed by Krishna, he got the form like that of Krishna in Vaikuntha. Like in Vaikuntha, all the residents either look like Krishna, most of them actually look like Krishna. Narayan.
I just wanted to add to that, that's okay. Bhagavad Gita explains to us that within us we have divine and demoniac tendencies, and you were talking about some of the horrible things that people do. So what is it that drives a normal jiva to act demonic? I mean, you kind of answered it in the end part of the class, and how can we make sure that in our decisions, in our day-to-day life, we're moving towards the divine and subtly, not the demoniac?
The thing is, you see, when one becomes very powerful and out of his power, and he turns against Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he becomes a demon. A weakling generally don't become so demon. I mean, they may be demoniac in their attitude, but they cannot really display that demoniac, demoniac features.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Is there any more question?
I have one question.
Okay, sure. Oh yeah, right. Krishna Govinda also has a question.
Let me ask. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. I do have several questions, but I don't want to keep too much of your time. Thank you very much for the wonderful classes. I've learned so much from these classes too. But I was just wondering on the question about the different rasas you could have as a relationship with Krishna. You can have like as a servant, mutual, friendship, parental, conjugal. So in the mood of the queens who are married to Krishna, what rasa do they have? Because they also have children, grandchildren.
Yeah. The queens are in Madhurya Ras, conjugal. But their attitude is servitorship. That's the difference between the queens and the gopis. Because the wife's attitude towards the husband is like that of a maidservant. Like, that is, whereas the gopis' relationship with Krishna is in pure conjugal relationship. Okay?
Okay, thank you. And the other question was, you spoke so nicely about Krishna's son, Pradyumna, Anuruddha and Samba, how valiant they fought against the other demons. Did they actually partake in the war, the Mahabharata war? Did they, Pradyumna, Anuruddha, all the grandsons, grandchildren, did they partake in the Mahabharata war?
Yeah. You see, the description there in Mahabharata is that Krishna's army was there, but there is no mention of Pradyumna and Aniruddha taking part in that battle.
Thank you very much.
Who was the next one? Oh, you have a question also. Ananta Vijay, you have a question, so ask.
My question is regarding the soul. Soul is such Hitenananda. So where do we get the impurities from? How do we develop all this greed and pride and envy?
Good question. You see, soul is minute. And its consciousness is minute, like a ray. Unto how many points a ray can be projected? Unto how many points?
1 point.
Right. Have you seen? Like, you're thinking of one thing, the mind shifts. Then mind just goes into another point directly, completely oblivious of the previous point. You know, like, this is... So, the consciousness of a living entity is like a ray. And it can be projected only onto one point. So the consciousness can either be projected towards Krishna or away from Krishna. These are the only two options. Towards Krishna, that's the option, or away from Krishna. The moment the consciousness is projected away from Krishna, Krishna's illusory energy, Maya, is just next to Krishna. Right? And Maya causes the living entity to forget his spiritual identity. Just because he looked away from Krishna. As I said, coming in, Maya is Krishna's inferior energy. When the superior living entity comes across the inferior energy, he develops his false ego. I am the Lord and Master. False ego, mistaken identity. I am a servant of Krishna, but now I am the Lord of Maya. Lord of this material nature. That's the first covering. False ego. Just see, just the mistake of looking away from Krishna caused this false ego. And then, how am I going to enjoy this world? Second covering of intelligence. And then through the mind, the consciousness now is flowing constantly towards this direction. So through intelligence, through false ego, intelligence and mind, he develops his subtle body. And then according to the subtle body, he gets his gross body. And with these two things, he is completely tied down. So this is how, and then this tendency to exploit this material nature, enjoy this material nature, is developing all those negative qualities.
When you're born, you don't have those qualities,
Yes, you have them in your subtle body.
Oh, okay. Right.
So it's not the gross body is not the only one. The gross body is a product of the subtle body. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, we talked about Dwarka and Krishna. When Dwarka disappeared and Krishna left this material, did his lineage stop at that time?
What's that?
His lineage.
For the lineage?
Lineage.
Okay.
Did that lineage stop at that time? Or does it... are there any people?
Yeah, it did stop.
Completely. So
the only person who remained is Uddhava. Otherwise, the Jadus, all the Jadus, Krishna sent them back to the spiritual world.
You are mentioning democracy in your lecture, and we are, especially in the West, have many countries that live in democratic society. What is the system that ISKCON should be living in? Because we can see that sometimes this democracy also wants to come into the ISKCON management. How the ISKCON should be managed?
Well, the ISKCON should manage with common sense and intelligence and guidance from the scripture. So generally the way Prabhupada structured it, ISKCON structure if it comes to them, if you look at the structure, Prabhupada is the founder acharya. He is the head. Then Prabhupada arranged the governing body, this concept of collective management with the leading members, the governing body, commission. Whereas every temple is an independent unit. The temples are managed by the temple president, along with his team. So that is the structure of ISKCON. But when it comes to the government, ISKCON just follows the local government. We don't go against the local government. We are here to follow. When we are in America, we follow American government. When we are in India, we follow Indian government. When we are in Croatia, we follow Croatian government. We don't get into conflict with the government. We function under the local government. Yes, Nishikanta.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I remember reading or hearing somewhere that Krishna brought back the dead sons of Devaki at one point. My question was, as your service to Krishna is complete, why would Devaki want her sons to come back? She had Krishna. How do we understand that there was something lacking that she felt?
Don't ask me, ask a mother. Probably the answer will be the mothers are always attached to their children.
One more question.
Is any mother answering the question?
The mother would always want her sons back so she can shower her love on them. I think so. Because she couldn't do that. My question is, we hear a lot about Kans and Shishupal, but very little about Dantavakra. And it's Dantavakra who are Jaya and Vijaya, from there. And also Kans is not. Initially, when I first read Pastimes, I thought Kans was, and Shishupal were Jaya and Vijaya. Can you elaborate a little bit more, if possible?
About?
On Dantavakra?
Dantavakra is still alive. We didn't come to that. Still alive means my So, yes, Dantavakra was killed by Krishna and with his disc, chakra.
Thank you very much.
Actually, I couldn't describe all the Like this pastime also I couldn't have. Krishna brought Devaki's 6 sons back. Also Krishna and Arjuna brought back the dead son of a Brahmana back.